Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Glad you could join me. So today I want to talk about another book by P.G. Wodehouse. This is Carry On Jeeves. It's kind of hard to establish a chronology for the Jeeves books because this one is 10 short stories that were written between looks like 1916 and 1925, 28, something like that. So there's a bunch of different things going on with these different stories, but we still have the same Bertie is Bertram Wooster, often called Bertie by his friends. The dandy upper class Londoner and his valet, I believe is the way that they say it, Jeeves. Now Jeeves is as he calls himself, is the gentleman's gentleman. So he has a wide range of skills and knowledge, and he works for Bertie and often helps Bertie and his friends in all of their goings on. So this isn't the first book, but it does have the story where Bertie hires Jeeves for the first time, called Jeeves Takes Charge. Now, in Jeeves Takes Charge, he gets hired by Bertie to do his cooking, his cleaning, his laundry, basically all the stuff that I hesitate to say butler because that's not really what he does. Butler is more head of a household, as I understand it, and Bertie's household is just him. So this is kind of, he's doing all the domestic stuff for Bertie, and he does a superb job. Now, Bertie has just been engaged to Florence Cray, and Bertie's uncle is writing a memoir about all the stuff that he did when he was a kid. And he's writing this, and it has stories of his contemporaries, which happens to be, one of the contemporaries happens to be Florence's father. And the stories that are in this memoir are, a little bit embarrassing. And so Florence wants Bertie to destroy the manuscript. We also have the artistic career of Corky. Now, Corky is an artist, and his uncle is basically helping him along, giving him an allowance. If you read these stories, you'll find that there's a lot of friends that Bertie has who are reliant upon family. And they're giving them an allowance. Even maybe this was something that you did as upper class in the 1920s. I don't know. But he's afraid that his uncle won't approve of his fiancée and will cut off this allowance. And instead, in order to get Corky's uncle to continue to pay, what they're going to do is have a book published about birds. Now, yes, this sounds ridiculous. However, his uncle is an avid bird aficionado and has written his own book about birds. And so they're going to say that that this fiance wrote a book about birds, and that's how they'll get him to approve of her. the next story, Jeeves and the Unbidden Guest. Bertie is living in New York, and his Aunt Agatha's friend shows up and drops off her son and says, "Watch him while I go do stuff." This is something I don't get. If somebody just showed up at my door and was like, "Watch my son," I'd be like, "No," and slam the door in their face. I'm sorry, I don't do that. If you want me to watch your son, you talk to me. You don't just show up. Anyway, Jeeves in the hard-boiled egg. He has another friend named Bicky, and he's lied about his how much money he's making to his uncle, who then comes to visit, and he has to put up this front that he's doing well in America and all this stuff. The Ant and the Sluggard. Bertie has a friend named Rocky, who is a poet and living quietly in the country. His aunt, who is paying his bills, tells him that he needs to go to New York and live it up, and write to tell her about it. And he doesn't want to. He wants to live in the country. That's where he's comfortable. The Rummy Affair of Old Biffy. Biffy is a pal of Bertie's, and yes, these names are... Wait till we get to Sippy. Biffy is so forgetful he can't remember the last name or the address of this woman he's fallen in love with, and he ends up engaged to another woman named Honoria Glossop, and he ends up going to Bertie to try to get help. Because he doesn't want to marry Honoria, he wants to marry this other woman, but he doesn't know who she is or where he can find her. Without the option, Sippy again, I said we'd get to Sippy. Sippy is dependent on his aunt, and he has to stay with his aunt's friends. Only thing is that Sippy, because of some actions on Bertie's part, Sippy gets put in jail. And so Bertie fakes being Sippy to allay the... I don't know, suspicions is the wrong word, but to make it so that Sippy doesn't get in bad with his aunt's friends. Fixing it for Freddie, he has a friend named Freddie Bullivant who was rejected by his fiancée, and he invites him to this place, and then notices that Freddie's fiancée Elizabeth is there playing with a child on the beach, and he gets the idea of getting these two back together. We have clustering round young Bingo. Bingo Little is married, and he wants to get a new housemaid for his wife. Bertie's Aunt Dahlia wants to get a new cook, and Bingo would like to have this article that his wife is writing for Bertie's Aunt Dahlia to be suppressed, and yeah, it gets to be a whole thing. The last one, Bertie changes his mind. Bertie wants to maybe adopt or be more involved with, I should say, in the lives of three of his nieces. And Jeeves does not want to go there. And in order to make it so that Bertie has that same kind of sentiment, Jeeves arranges it so that Bertie has to give a speech to a bunch of young girls. Yes. So, like I said, this book is it was published apparently in the U.S. in 1927. I was looking at some of the first published. I don't know that. I'm pretty sure I don't have a first edition copy. But I was looking at some of the dates, like Jeeves Takes Charge was written and published in April 1923 in the UK. But in the US, it was published in the Saturday Evening Post November of 1916. So, yeah. February 1916, June 1916. So we have a lot of 1916s, then we get some 1917s, 1924, 25, 28. Oh, that's why. It was published in Canada in September 1928. but it was first published in this book with the others in 1925 in the UK and 1927 in the US. So like I said, these are all humorous stories. I really do like the writings of P.G. Wodehouse, and I do really enjoy reading Jeeves and Wooster. I like the interactions between the characters. There are a lot of situations that I would definitely dare to say that I would not allow it to happen to me. The fact that this lady shows up and says, "Here's my nephew," or "Here's my son. Watch him while I go do stuff." Let me backtrack a little bit on that one. Marty isn't like a young boy. He's not like a 5-year-old, and she's dropping him off and saying, "Hey, babysit him while I go run to the grocery store." No, she is an author, and she's touring around America, but she doesn't want her son to go with her, I guess, for whatever reason. And he's like in his 20s and is dependent on her and just is henpecked to death, does exactly what she says all the time. And now she's like, "Watch my son, make sure he doesn't get into trouble." I would be like laughing at her and slamming the door in her face. But it does work out well for Bertie, because Jeeves is a genius. He's incredibly smart, practical, whereas Bertie is flighty and wishy-washy, and he likes to think of himself as someone who does the right thing, and in a lot of ways, he is that person. He's gallant and tries to make sure that everyone is happy. Unfortunately, he's a people pleaser. And when he gets into situations where the best thing to do would be to not spare someone's feelings and let them know exactly what's going on, he holds back. So a lot of times it does devolve to Jeeves to get him out of situations that he could extricate himself from if he would just speak up and say something. But anyway, that's it for today. Let me know what you thought of Carry On Jeeves if you read it. I very much, as I said, I do enjoy the writings of P.G. Wodehouse. They're light, they're refreshing, the characters are fun. But if you've watched the Jeeves and Wooster series, which is excellent, the reason I got into reading the Jeeves and Wooster books was because of the television series with Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry. They're amazing in it, but you can see where they got the ideas, where they pick and chose ideas from different stories, and where they meshed things together so that they had enough for an episode and things like that. Very good. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, all that other stuff. And until next time, enjoy what you're reading.